Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 477 based on novel. So let's start. After the incident at the Void Mansion in the Demon Realm was over, Xiao Yan and Zuna explained in detail what happened to Su Shuiying. Although Zuna was angry, she acted coquettishly and did not hold on to it. After dealing with some matters in the Demon Realm, he handed over some worries to the old man guarding the Void Mansion and told the little doctor immortal. Xiao Yang and the two left here at ease and set off together to return to the Endless Fire Realm. In January, the two successfully broke through the void, left the spacetime wormhole, and returned to the area of the Endless Fire Domain. You two, what are you doing here sneaking? There is the headquarters of our Endless Fire territory. Under the wisdom of the mistress, it is surrounded by holy fire all day long, and it is a real holy place. Just after returning to the Endless Fire territory, Xiao Yang and Zuna couldn't help but look at each other a little bit when they saw that there was a world in the center surrounded by a world of fiery red flames and lava. The fiery red lava world is full of simple fluctuations, and the flaming lava world is full of imposing buildings, which are majestic. This guy. Xiao Yang looked at the Endless Fire area in the flame lava world deep in front of him, and was a little shocked when he heard this little guy who was like a patrol guard in front of him. It seems that the current Endless Fire area can only be called the Endless Fire area. The afterglow of fire is enduring and tyrannical. Hey, what about you? Xiao Yang and the two were on a mountain peak in the world beside him, and suddenly a soft and sweet voice gushed out from a distance. Doxian. I arrived at Doxian at a young age, and my talent is quite good. However, the breath in this guy's body seems to be much more tyrannical than the usual fire attribute power. Eyes squinting at the center of the fire domain, but some familiar fluctuations poured out. It seems that the source of fire at the core of the deep fire domain is really warm. The source of these fires should be Yingying's flames, right? With beautiful eyes looking forward to it, Zuna said after taking a breath. Let's go, it's time to go back after saying goodbye for so long. The Endless Fire territory has changed a lot. Two laughter swelled up, and then turned into a meteor and swept towards the center of the molten world. What a strange guy. However, their appearance seems to be somewhat similar to the two legendary figures in the Endless Fire territory. Boom. The Dodi Sifong continent has now been completely integrated, coupled with the vigorous development of some high-level leaders in the Endless Fire territory. Although the current Endless Fire territory is still unable to stand at the peak of the human world, it has indeed gained a firm foothold in the Great Thousand World. The two mistresses, the center of the human world, there are messengers coming. However, the identity of this guy is full of doubts. The door of the mother-in-law's palace was gently pushed open, and Yang Kai, who was walking towards him, was pale, and his expression was obviously dignified and complicated. Sister Kaylin, this? Mu Yingying, who was sitting in the hall to deal with some big and small matters, couldn't help but wrinkle her eyes when she heard the words. Her beautiful eyes were full of shock. Human World Center? This is not the peak power that controls the entire human world. Its strength and heritage are even more tyrannical than Dark Yanggong. After all, this is the representative of the peak power in the entire human world. Now they sent messengers to the Endless Fire territory. Why is this? A bad thought poured out in Mu Yingying's heart. Come on, follow me out to meet this guy for a while. Now that Xiao Yang is not here, don't be reckless. Kaylin was wearing a dress, looked at Mu Yingying with a smile on her face and said, like a caring big sister, but she was equally suspicious at this time. Why is the Endless Fire territory targeted by the existence of the center of the human world? In the days when Xiao Yang and Zuna were gone, the Endless Fire territory was not under the care of the elves and Dark Yanggong in secret, so basically no forces dared to openly conflict with the Endless Fire territory. With some of the girls' wrists, the entire Endless Fire territory appears more prosperous. Mu Yingying used her own source of holy flame as a guide, combined with the power of many powerhouses, ignited the headquarters of the Endless Fire territory and placed it in the flame and molten world, so that the four characters of the Endless Fire territory deserved their name. Come on, let's go out and meet this guy. Behind him, Xiao Yi and Yang Kai appeared together, accompanied by the two mistresses, and then the group of four left the mother-in-law's hall and headed towards the conference hall. I came to use Shenfu in the center of the lower human world, and I came to visit the Endless Fire domain. There were only two figures sitting in the hall, Feng Wanna, and a handsome man who looked extremely young, just heard the footsteps outside the hall, and the man who was sitting quietly stood up and laughed. The door was pushed open, and the 6 people sat together in the hall, and the atmosphere seemed particularly solemn and deadly. Your Excellency is an envoy from the center of the human world. I don't know why you came to our endless fire territory today. Kaylin is indeed a strong person with the demeanor of a queen. Facing such a scene, Yi Ran has a calm expression, raised her slender jade hand, and a looming 10-color snake crawls quietly on the jade by. At the moment of its appearance, it seems that the power of the whole world has lost its color. 10 colors. This endless fire domain is really not to be underestimated. Shun Fu was startled secretly in his heart. Just when his eyes met the illusory little snake, a long-lost heart palpitation came out. On the order of the King of the Realm, I have come to invite the Domain Master Xiao Yan to the Human Realm Center to discuss important matters. Looking around, Shun Fu said straight to the point. What? As soon as this remark came out, everyone in the audience was shocked, even the 5 people present, except Kaylin's calm expression. The other people's faces showed a violent killing intent. Xiao Yang had left a warning long ago. The tricks hidden in the center of the human world are too strange, and many powerful people in the entire world are well aware of their poison, and they may not be related to the disappearance of the Xiao clan. This peak power. These guys. Shun Fu looked at the almost dead air in the hall, and vaguely sensed a strong unease. Shun Fu's strength is only one level of reincarnation. If it weren't for the backing of the center of the human world, if he said this at the headquarters of the Endless Fire Territory, I am afraid that 100 lives would not be enough to kill the powerhouses of the Endless Fire Territory. After all, Xiao Yang's prestige in the Endless Fire domain is close to the existence of a god's mansion, a domain owner supported by countless humans. Humph. This guy, when did he have the guts to run wild here? Those guys at the center of the human world should be busy suppressing the loose seals. How can they have time to deal with this guy Xiao Yang? Although the aura on this guy is similar to the human world center, the essence is different. It should be really interesting. Heavenly Emperor, I'll help you this time. But after a long time, remember to return this kindness to me thankfully. In a wing room, Han Tianhao opened his mouth with a strange expression, pushed the door and walked out towards the hall. This guy's words are mysterious, like a lunatic. In this matter, he must come forward in person, otherwise once his plan is destroyed by others, it will not be worth the loss. The most important thing is that the Endless Fire Territory has just been on the right track. Xiao Yang has not solved the Xiao clan situation and so on, he can't die yet. Hihi, what Your Excellency said, is there any evidence? Void surging, a majestic power permeates. Just when Shun Fu's face slightly aroused a smile, 2 figures slowly poured out from under the door, and their voices were filled with a soft and unquestionable majesty. Second brother. As soon as the voice fell, and before seeing the person, the hall became restless. After all, this breath really made them restless. The 2 figures, like ghosts and without any movement, rushed in from the door one after another. Seeing the 2 people approaching, Xiao Yi couldn't help exclaiming with excitement. With a strong sense of excitement in her eyes, she hurriedly strode over, and patted Xiao Yang's shoulder with a palm. Your Excellency keeps saying that you are the center of the human world, and there is evidence. Xiao Yang nodded at Xiao Yi, then slowly approached Shun Fu, and then just stared at this guy. Although Shun Fu looked handsome, under Xiao Yang's gaze, he felt that there was an invisible pressure suppressing the power in his body, and his eyelids jumped violently. You are lying. The soul power in your body is restless, and there is a faint wave of strange fluctuations. Xiao Yang shook his head, his eyes filled with murderous intent. The messenger who pretended to be the center of the human world stepped into the Endless Fire domain, and this alone was enough to kill him dozens of times. Xiao Yang, you are blatantly disobeying the order of the human world center. If this matter is passed back to the center of the human world, there will be no good fruit for you to eat. Shun Fu shrugged slightly, a contemptuous smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, his palm slowly lifted, and a silver halo with mysterious fluctuations spread out. The table in the hall burst open in an instant, and sawdust flew everywhere, but Xiao Yang's face was always calm. Above that power, there seems to be a supreme law that overrides everything, making Xiao Yang and the others unable to resist. If you don't say it, then die. After you die, I will naturally have countless ways to explore your memory. Xiao Yang sneered, and his body moved quickly in the hall. He raised his palm with a violent flame force, and directly twisted the void to attack Shun Fu's vital points. As for the special power similar to the center of the human world, it actually slowly disappeared in the aura of holy flame. Hateful. Shun Fu's pupils shrank slightly when he sensed the rolling force in Xiao Yang's body. Domain Lord, wait a minute. This guy can't be killed. The attack whistled, but before it landed on Shun Fu, an old voice sounded outside the hall door. Soul Tianhao? Feng Wanna and the others looked at each other in dismay. Because of the special relationship, they didn't inform this guy. Moreover, Han Tianhao has been in charge of the Endless Fire Domain Intelligence Network, and the dragon has not seen the end all day long. Now this guy is not an envoy from the center of the human world. He is from a mysterious sect called Wanglongzong. The suzerain of this sect used to be a triple reincarnation level powerhouse, but he committed some mistakes in the records. He was expelled from the center of the human world, and he has been wandering around the world. These messages are naturally obtained by the subordinates from the Space Intelligence Sales Building. Han Tianhao looked at Shen Fu in front of him with joy, and he did not forget to explain at the end of his words. It is true. Mu Yingying and Kaylin glanced at each other, although they were surprised by what Han Tianhao said, but they did let Han Tianhao be responsible for the major intelligence networks in the Endless Fire territory, and some information that even they were not aware of was reasonable. Xiao Yang took back his power and stared at Sol Tianhao with a frown. Domain Lord, although Wanglongzong is not a high-ranking force in the human world, its suzerain has an extremely rare dragon crystal in the palm of his hand. The so-called dragon crystal is very precious, and it is related to the dragon resident that the domain master asked his subordinates to find. Sol Tianhao smiled slightly. How do you know these secrets? Space Intelligence Sales Building. Hearing Han Tianhao's words, Shen Fu's face trembled violently, and a trace of fear emerged. If that's the case, then I'll keep it short. There is something you need in Wanglongzong. If you have the courage, just follow me. Glancing at the people in the hall, Shen Fu said directly, after all, this was his purpose. However, the sect master of Wanglong sect just asked Shen Fu to invite Xiao Yang. As for the identity of pretending to be the center of the human world, I am afraid that this guy made his own decisions. Domain Lord, now that the situation in Dakian is turbulent, you should stay at ease in the Endless Fire territory. As for Wanglongzong, the subordinates and Xiaoyi brothers will go together. I don't know what happened to the domain master. Han Tianhao made an appearance of thinking, and asked Xiao Yang after a while, to eliminate the worries and so on in his mind. Well, that's really the only way to go now. However, for this trip, I am afraid I can only choose another person to go to Wanglongzong, because Xiaoyi needs to accompany Xiao Yang to go to the Fairyland. Listening to Han Tianhao volunteering, Mu Yingying nodded, and her words were filled with a longing look. Immortal world, this is a beautiful place recognized by the world. If you have the opportunity to step into it and take a look at it and absorb the spiritual energy of the world, I am afraid it will be a great blessing. Immortal world? What happened? Zuna blinked, also a little curious. Someone in Immortal Realms sent an invitation scroll, which seems to be something about refining medicine. I'm afraid I still need to consult the patriarch of the medicine clan for specific matters. Kaylin stood up and picked out the matter. Let's go, it's not too late, let's go now. I'll leave it to you for now. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he directly took Xiao Yizuna and the two of them, and hurriedly rushed towards the residence of the patriarch of the Chinese medicine clan in the Endless Fire territory. This guy. Seeing this, Kaylin couldn't help shaking her head slightly, obviously looking at Xiao Yang's busy body. The queen's temperament that had been silent for a long time in her body was also stimulated a little bit. Every time. Mu Yingying looked at the three who were leaving, and immediately pouted in dissatisfaction, with a tone of resentment. Don't worry, the construction of the Endless Fire territory, you girl is the first, I will give you credit for him next time. As for this guy, take it down and put it in the fire prison. Feng Lao, senior soul, this trip is very important for Wanglongzong, but we can't get out of it, I'm afraid we can only trouble the two of them. Kaylin nodded, and then said to the two respected old men beside her. It's okay. Feng Lao and Han Tianhao looked at each other, and immediately suppressed Shen Fu with ease, and took them down to prepare to leave. Sister Kaylin, it is said that the immortal world is a paradise isolated from the world. Whether it is the spiritual energy of heaven and earth or some creatures, it is far from comparable to the human world. It is the long-lived habitat that everyone dreams of. As there were only two Kaylin girls left in the hall, Mu Yingying suddenly took off her mistress attitude, and said excitedly, pulling Kaylin's palm. Well, don't worry. Wait until the Dakian world is over, let's find a time to go to the fairy world together. At this time, the two girls, like young girls in a boudoir to be married, sat on the desk and talked about some secrets. Soon after, a melodious sigh sounded in the hall. Dochi continent has a flower sect, and Yunyun disappeared from Dochi continent mysteriously, and Shenjie also has a strange force called Hua Divine Palace. Is it an illusion? Sorry for the late exam, students in the middle and high school entrance exams, cheer up. Transition a few pictures to the Fairyland, here is a small plot, and then it comes to the plot of the third holy flame. That's when it's really late. In the Endless Fire territory, Xiao Yan and the three arrived at the residence of the Medicine Clan's patriarch in just a few minutes. The Medicine Clan's patriarch's residence is quite imposing, it is a manor standing in the fire domain. After all, this guy is now the teacher of many alchemists in the Endless Fire domain. He is busy all day, so much that the manor is planted. Many precious and rare medicinal materials. Under the leadership of the guards, Xiao Yang and the others gently came to the stone room where they used to refine the medicinal pills, but they did not step into it rashly for a while. Who is it? Didn't I say countless times, don't disturb me while I'm refining the medicine pill? An impatient voice with a hint of anger sounded from the stone room, and the stone door was gently pushed open. The medicine refining skills of the head of the Medicine Clan are really even more terrifying. 8th grade holograde earthgrade medicinal pills can't be refined so easily by anyone. Just walking out of the stone room, Xiao Yang couldn't help laughing at the fluctuation of the long-sized elixir rising from the pill cauldron in front of him. Xiao Yang was all too familiar with that wave. Xiao Yang. You kid, you're back. The anger in Yarrow Wan's eyes dissipated instantly, and he waved his hand to send the accompanying guides down. In the entire airtight stone room, only 4 people existed. In the deadly quiet stone room, the anger suddenly became strange. Senior, what about the fairy world? Xiao Yang looked at no one around, and Yarrow Wan was so careful and did not shy away, and asked directly. Compared with our human world, the fairy world has a small number of people, but it controls extremely powerful cultivation resources. At the same time, the fairy world is also a holy land that is desired by countless people. This time the invitation is indeed sent out by the fairy world, called the Fairy World Medicine Refining Club. Yarrow Wan's eyes were filled with joy, but more than that, there was a look of worry. Xiao Yang's strength is strong, but it would be difficult for his refining skills to shine in such an unparalleled event. After all, the powerhouses who can be invited to participate in such a grand event are probably the leaders of one party, and the competition is particularly fierce. The Immortal Realm Alchemy Pill Society. It is said that in the immortal world, there are very few top alchemists in the entire Great Thousand World, even the legendary 9th rank. Xiao Yi took a deep breath and told all the news she had learned. When she mentioned the 9th rank, her voice became hoarse. The 9th rank alchemist of the God Realm is close to the peak of the alchemist in the entire Great Thousand World. Its identity and status are probably almost the same as that of the elders of the Fire Elves. Good. The immortal world is indeed a place in the entire Great Thousand World where there are many alchemists and their techniques are extremely terrifying. This time the champion of the Alchemy Pill Society will receive a roll of the 9th grade pill recipes, as well as a great immortal level soul fighting skill, among which there are many precious treasures. But Yarrow Wan was obviously very familiar with these things, and directly threw out useful information. It's really scary. But the patriarch of the Medicine Clan, what are you worried about? Xiao Yang nodded, he still had to go to the immortal world. After all, his refining skills still need to be improved, and he could just go to refine the reincarnation pill. Wouldn't it kill 2 birds with 1 stone? The venue for this time is 3 days in the immortal realm. I am afraid that the powerhouses in the immortal realm center will intervene in this matter. After all, the evil races outside the realm are now eyeing them, and it is not certain that there will be any changes. Yarrow Wan was very worried at the moment. His eyes kept flashing. Correct. This thing was given to me by a monk disciple from the Buddhist world. It is said that it was yours. Now it is returned to its original owner. However, it seems that he was attacked by some mysterious force on the way, and the monk has already fallen. The attacker used a white flame, and that kind of power is mysterious and mysterious. Fortunately, this monk disciple was smart and secretly used the trick of turning the tiger away from the mountain. Otherwise this thing will fall into the hands of others. During the conversation, Yarrow Yuan inspected around, and when he repeatedly confirmed that there were no suspicious persons, he gently pushed the red accept ring on his finger, and a black stone box about several meters long quietly poured out. At the moment when this stone box poured out, the energy of heaven and earth in the entire stone room became quiet in an instant, and an ancient, dusty inside stinged all the nerves of the few people present. White flame. There was even a trace of extremely weak white flames around the black stone box. Xiao Yang frowned and immediately reached out to touch it. With a sound, Xiao Yang's palm quickly retracted like an electric shock, and a creepy aura permeated out. This flame, what is the origin? And who is it that intercepted this killing ruler halfway? Various doubts plagued Xiao Yang, and after confirming repeatedly that the killing ruler in the black stone box had completed the first step of tempering, Xiao Yang carefully took it into his pocket. After completing the first tempering, the killing ruler was able to display the dawn that belongs to it as an artifact. With the blessing of Xiao Yang's body, this trip to the Fairyland was also a good self-protection. Force. The second most powerful divine artifact, its power can be learned from the world. Domain Lord, there is something I don't know whether to say or not. Yarrow Wan couldn't help but hesitated to deliver the Immortal Realm Medicine Refining Pill Society and Jushin Qi to Xiao Yang. Go ahead. Xiao Yang spoke calmly. I always feel that the recent Hun Tianhao seems a little abnormal. His strength has not even stepped into the reincarnation, but sometimes the breath exuding from his body makes even the elders of our clan feel a palpitating heart. And this guy Shenlong sees the beginning but not the end. It is really, even if he is extremely careful, there are still some doubts emerging. Domain Lord, I think we should be wary of this guy. Yarrow Wan thought about it and decided to say that the expression on this matter was unprecedentedly solemn. If he hadn't discovered some doubts several times, Yarrow Wan would definitely not have such a look. Then keep an eye on it, as soon as you find any clear evidence. Xiao Yang's eyes became fierce immediately. He made a light gesture on his chest with his palm. If this is nothing, then it will be like a joke, but if there is real evidence, I am afraid that it needs to be cleaned up. After all, Endless Fire territory is the base of everyone, similar to some people with bad intentions, but they cannot stay here. This time, let the elders accompany the domain master to go there. In the 3 days of the fairy world, the strong ones are also good. Yarrow Wan said. In this troubled autumn, let the seniors stay here. The trip to the Fairyland, the 3 of us are enough. Xiao Yang smiled faintly. After 1 month, the trip to the Fairyland officially begins. Well, then take a rest for a month and set off for the Fairyland. There was a rare excitement in Xiao Yang's eyes, but at this time, he was in a panic. It seemed that this trip to the Immortal Realm would not be too simple. January passed quietly. During this period, everyone will slowly overcome some of the remaining problems in the Endless Fire territory. As for Kaylin, Mu Yingying, and the top executives of the Endless Fire territory, they will secretly observe every confidant of the Endless Fire territory. But many powerhouses, including Hun Tianhao, didn't find any problems for a while, so they could only take it slowly. It seems that in a short time, Hun Tianhao and Feng Laro went to Wanglongzong together. I don't know if we can find clues about the dragon's residence. After all, the dragon's residence will only be more difficult to find than the Phoenix family. In the Endless Fire territory, at the space passage, Kaylin, Mu Yingying, Zuna Xiao Yang, and Xiao Yi stood here. As for the rest of the high-rise, they still maintained the order of the Endless Fire territory. After all, leaving the Endless Fire territory to go to the Immortal World can be regarded as a secret, so it did not disturb too many people. This hall, which is specially used to carry space passages, is full of a quaint atmosphere, but at this time it seems that some other emotions are mixed in. Send it here. This time we are going to Immortal Realm and participating in the medicine pill meeting is small. It is true to secretly investigate Immortal Realm and some obscure things. As for the Endless Fire Realm, I will ask you all. Xiao Yang turned his head and spoke softly to Kaylin and Mu Yingying. A single word is worth more than 1,000 words. Due to his own reasons, Xiao Yang needs to continuously improve his strength, so he cannot accompany the girls at this stage. At times like this, someone has to stand up, otherwise, once the Endless Fire territory is on the sidelines, I am afraid that the Endless Fire territory will only be destroyed. Kaylin nodded, naturally aware of Xiao Yang's thoughts, so there was no movement, but Mu Yingying, who was on the side, pouted in dissatisfaction. Thanks for your hard work. Xiao Yang smiled and walked to Mu Yingying's side, lowered his forehead gently on her fragrant shoulder, and absorbed it with his nose. A fragrant fragrance followed by a fierce incense mouth did not emerge. This move made Mu Yingying's chest heave violently, and her heart thumped vigorously, as if all her complaints had disappeared without a trace. You. Feeling this sweet and powerful mouthful, Mu Yingying suddenly trembled, her cheeks flushed red, and she looked at Xiao Yang in disbelief. Kaylin and Zuna are still here. Is this guy like this? Humph. Seeing this, Zuna in the distance straightened her hips with anger, but instead of breaking out on the spot, she turned around. Mu Yingying transformed her holy flame source into an endless fire zone to protect the earth, which really made the always arrogant Zuna feel ashamed, and since the two women admitted Mu Yingying's existence, they have been more or less negligent. It's been a while, and now this matter can only be turned a blind eye to the past. Wait me back. With a faint sound, Xiao Yang and the others swept directly into the space passage, towards the fairy world. Let's go, there are still many things to deal with in the endless fire territory. By the way, Sister Kaylin, Princess Xingqian seems to have an endless abyss. Recently, there are some unfriendly atmospheres. We may have time to investigate. Stepping into the void again, before it took long to advance, a dazzling flame energy ripple swept out, the void surged, and it turned into a graceful figure. This is Princess Qianqin. After taking a rest, Xiao Yi was stunned for a moment, then looked at the figure of Yang Ting in front of her, and opened her mouth in astonishment. Sure enough. The Great Elder has your breath, so he built a space channel from the air and tried to send me out to protect you. By the way, on the trip to the Fairyland, there are some things that belong to our fire elves that need to be taken back. With the participation of our fire elves, your position will also become much calmer. Princess Qianpin turned around gracefully and said casually, but her eyes on Xiao Yang were extremely complicated. The strength of this guy and the coercion unleashed invisibly are much more tyrannical than the last time he went to the Fire Elf clan, and Princess Qianqin's mood to try to compete with Xiao Yang again is also getting lower and lower. Since the end of the Fire Elves, they have already let go of their prejudices. Now the Fire Elves are more and more united, and there is a prosperous event, so the elders have important arrangements, and Princess Qianqin will naturally not refuse. Let's go. Xiao Yang and Zuna looked at each other and nodded their heads in relief, because this Princess Qianqin has grown to the peak of the second reincarnation rank. The background of the two, with the mutual blessing of several forces, the combat power can be described as a bit appalling. Since that's the case, let's rush to Immortal Realm first. After a simple statement, Xiao Yi nodded and looked at the end of the void, as if that was the entrance to the Fairyland. Wait a minute, it's been a few days since I came here from the Fire Elves. During this period, I found some hidden evil forces in this void. Their purpose seems to be the Fairyland. How is it? Are you interested? Princess Qianqin looked at the creepy area somewhere in the void, and pointed it out. That place, like a stubborn filth that clings to a rocky terrain, never separates and perishes. Then please lead the way. As soon as the voice fell, everyone hid their figures, surging along the space channel, adding some traces collected before Princess Qianqin, and swept away towards some evil place. Grumble. In some dark corners of this void passage, there are actually narrow areas that look like dirty ditches, like a blade of wind drifting freely. This evil corner, which seems to be within a range of tens of meters, is obviously a place used to exchange information. How are things going? In the filthy shabby house, a strange and oppressive voice surged from the darkness. Reporting to the Lord, things have been slowly unfolding in the plan, and this time there will be no mistakes. In the darkness, two pairs of green evil eyes surged, constantly communicating. This matter was personally ordered by the Dark Demon Lord. If there is any error, you know the consequences. The voice of the conversation slowly fell, and there were actually several screams and low-pitched roars in the entire house, and the voice of the opening disappeared completely. Damn guy! If you didn't control the handle of our race, how could it be reduced to your lackey? I hate it. The roaring sound emerged, filling the entire narrow room. Your Excellency is so anxious. Where are you planning to go? A sweet voice emerged from the surrounding of the house, and then an unusually loud flame and heat wave rushed towards the face. Fire Elf! Feeling the strong burning sensation coming towards him, the shadow left in the darkness made a spooky sound, and then the whole body burned like the afterglow, and it seemed that he wanted to escape from here. Run there! The heavenly demon array! Princess Qianqin stood slim in the passage, and the colorful notes flickering on her body actually blocked all the retreating paths of the shadows in front of her. With Xiao Yang roaring, a huge demon formation of several hundred meters was formed. Slaughtered in a giant net attitude. Not good. Feeling the joint action of the two reincarnation-level powerhouses, the shadow made a very frightening roar, and the figure became a bit illusory, and even quickly disappeared into the distant void. Looking at this posture, it seems that they are deliberately avoiding the two. It is a pity that He Ying's strength has only reached the reincarnation level, so naturally he is not the opponent of Xiao Yang and the two of them. Even if the strength is weak, the body is suppressed, the shadow body shakes violently, and it seems that some strange aura is gushing out. Oh, this kind of breath. It's actually a person from Immortal Realm. When his body was surging, there was actually a splendid brilliance left in the house. Seeing this, Qian frowned and looked at the guy in front of him in disbelief. The fairy world is different from any other world, because their unique cultivation methods and energy in their bodies are mainly colored, so you can tell whether they are from the fairy world at a glance. There are quite a few territories under the jurisdiction of the immortal realm, but those who can cross the plane and step into the last 3 days of practice are all talented people in their respective planes. People from immortal realm, why do they have an affair with evil races outside the realm? Be honest. Xiao Yan rolled around, and the majestic array patterns that were enough to bind all things surged, and the power contained in them made this piece of void distorted. The aura in the body of the black shadow that had just passed away was clearly a foreign evil race, but it was a pity that Xiao Yang and others came a step late. The power of the magic formations waved, bit by bit peeling off the evil aura from the shadow. After the blink of an eye, the figure of this guy was caught in everyone's eyes. At a glance at this guy, he was bathed in a peaceful colored halo, and even carried a rather mysterious pattern on his chest, which looked extremely strange. This kind of mark is the unique mark of the 3 days in the fairy world. Qian pressed forward step by step, walking directly towards the shadow, as if she was deliberately exploring the memory in his body. Soul power. Buzzing sounds spread from Xiao Yang's body, and immediately invaded into the black shadow's body. At the same time, the void in front of everyone began to distort, and a strange illusory picture emerged. In the picture, there are not too many other factors, just a strange picture in a static state. The still appearance on the screen is actually 10 gloomy dark black hanging coffins standing upside down, and each coffin is filled with a creepy aura, like a demon coffin originating from the depths of hell. Once crawling out of the coffin, I am afraid it will cause an uproar. Crack. With a bang, Xiao Yang and the others just glanced at it, and they didn't have time to figure out what was in it. The still picture shattered like shards of crystal, and the body of the black figure that was bound slowly trembled. For a pool of pus. Obviously, some ancient prohibition was touched, and the body and spirit were destroyed. Miscalculated. At this moment, Xiao Yang withdrew his soul power, and he couldn't let go for a long time as he watched the void that was gradually returning to calm. The extraterritorial evil race has been stagnant for so long, I am afraid that this time, there will be a big move, and the horn of the war between heaven and earth is getting closer. The shadow collapsed along with the house, and everyone's body began to drift along the space passage, but everyone's heart was extremely serious. Just relying on the still picture just now, it is impossible to detect any useful information at all, but the current situation is extremely delicate. Knowing that the trip to the immortal world is probably a trip to Longtan Tiger's den, but it must also be a trip. Immortal. Is it being eroded by these evil creatures? Or, the first stop of the foreign evil race is the fairyland? After a long time, Xiao Yi spoke first, staring at Xiao Yang and Qian beside her, as if they knew a lot about this information. Those things just now do have extremely evil fluctuations. 10 gloomy black coffins, I have never seen that kind of pressure before, but unfortunately I don't have more time and clues to investigate. Xiao Yang's brows furrowed, what was in the still picture just now was too shocking. That kind of power even surpasses any foreign powerhouse that he has encountered, and there are 10. But now, why did the huge power appear in the deepest memory of this person from the fairyland? What exactly does this represent? This is also the reason why I will accompany you to the immortal realm. The Great Elder seems to have sensed the movement of the evil race from outside the realm, but if you want to explore it in detail, it is as difficult as going to the sky. Princess Qian nodded and shook her head. Forget it, go to immortal realm first, take a step by step, and hope that those strong in immortal realm can detect the conspiracy of the evil race from outside the territory and smash it as soon as possible. After some conversation, Xiao could only helplessly shrug his shoulders. After speaking, he followed the space passage. The immortal realm is one of the many worlds in the Great Thousand Worlds, but the so-called immortal realm is basically inhabited by some immortal places with countless legends in the human realm. The Immortal World Center is also secretly involved in this matter, but the powerhouses in the Immortal World Center are a bit rare compared to the other 7 worlds. The 3 days in the Fairyland are divided into Yarokai Fairyland, Penglai Fairyland, and Taishushan. As for the so-called Fairy World Center, it is said to be a void space opened up by the World Master of the Fairy World Center. It exists in a mysterious void space somewhere in the last 3 days. Except for the powerhouses in the Fairy World Center, no one knows its entrance, but the fairy world, the void space in the center, is sought after by countless powerhouses, who can cultivate in it, and even have the opportunity to covet that supreme way. Battle God rank. In the void along the way, Princess Qianqin explained some basic information about the immortal world to the three. Yarokai Wonderland, Moon God Palace, Flower God Palace, and Medicine Sanctuary. These are several tyrannical sects in the past 3 days, and even the powerhouses in the center of Immortal World are terrified of them. And the purpose of our trip is to stand in the Medicine Refining Hall in the middle part of the Moon God Palace's own Flower God Palace. There, it is the paradise of pharmacists, the real holy place where countless people ask for medicine and pills. Along the way, Princess Qianqin was like a patient servant, constantly telling everything about the center of the Fairyland. Even Xiao Yan and others were able to perceive from the words of Princess Qianqin that the so-called Fairyland was definitely not simple. To be able to make the arrogant Princess Qianqin yearn so much, the word Wonderland truly deserves its name. Just finished speaking, the void in front of everyone shook slightly, and a dazzling and soft light shone out, shining on the skin and body, and the exhaustion all over the body disappeared. Immortal, it's here. A long-lost silence and an uncontrollable expression of longing poured out, and the four of them knew that this trip to the Fairyland was officially set off. This video will end here.